name is Melvin. It's a privilege to be with you this morning for another Reflect and Rejoice session as we continue to look at the Psalms. Let me start by asking you a question. Have you ever been in a cave? Perhaps you may have come across one by accident whilst on holiday. Maybe you've been on a guided tour to see inside a cave, and where you saw the spectacular sight of stalactites and stalagmites. When they are illuminated, caves can be spectacular places, but when the lights go out, they can be quite intimidating and claustrophobic. Well, in today's psalm, we find David hiding in a cave, and he's not there for pleasure. He's hiding from King Saul, who is threatening to take his life. Maybe in the past few weeks, you've had similar feelings, being confined to the house and hiding not from a visible foe, but a microscopic, unseen one. With this in mind, let's read Psalm 57, as I'm sure there are things to be learned and encouraged by through what David has to say. Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me, for in you my soul takes refuge. In the shadow of your wings I will take refuge till the storms of destruction pass by. I cry out to God Most High, to God who fulfills his purpose for me. He will send from heaven and save me. He will put to shame him who tramples on me. God will send out his steadfast love and his faithfulness. My soul is in the midst of lions. I lie down amid fiery beasts, the children of man, whose teeth are spears and arrows, whose tongues are sharp swords. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth. They set a net for my steps. My soul is bowed down. They dug a pit in my way, but they have fallen into it. My heart is steadfast, O God. My heart is steadfast. I will sing and make melody. Awake, my glory. Awake, O harp and lyre. I will awake the dawn. I will give thanks to you, O Lord, among the peoples. I will sing praises to you among the nations, for your steadfast love is great to the heavens, your faithfulness to the clouds. Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth. Let's reflect on David's situation. He had been chosen by God to eventually replace Saul as king. Samuel had confirmed this by anointing David for this role whilst he was still a young boy looking after the sheep. Later on, we find David in Saul's palace, playing to the king to lift his spirit when he was in a low state of mind. Presumably, in this situation, David would have enjoyed all the benefits of living at the palace. We also know from 1 Samuel that David became very popular with the people. However, David's life totally changed when King Saul's love and respect for David changes to jealousy, fueled by David's increased popularity. This jealous rage becoming totally out of control, Saul seeks to hunt David down, to kill him, highlighted in verses 4 to 6. So here is David hiding a cave in fear for his life. Surely in this situation, wouldn't David have reason to blame God for this reversal in fortunes? Have you ever found yourself thinking that due to upheaval or difficulties in your life? David knows that God is greater than any of his problems. He totally trusts the Lord to see him through. With these thoughts in mind, we read in the second half of the psalm that David's response to his situation is to sing praises to the Lord. We can see a parallel here from the book of Acts, where Paul and Silas were imprisoned for something they were not guilty of. The prison was probably a cold and damp place. They'd been wrongly accused, and yet their response was to pray and sing praises to God. In verse 5, David declares, "Be exalted, O God, above the heavens. Let your glory be over all the earth." In verse 9, he boldly commits to God, "I will praise you, O Lord, among the nations. I will sing of you among the peoples." So how can these words from David encourage us? It shows that we need to, in every situation, be totally reliant on God, as he has a plan for each one of us and only wants the best for us. Obviously, many of us don't find it easy to be totally reliant on him, particularly in our present culture. Relying upon God alone means that we consciously do not rely upon two things. We do not rely on human merit, what we have achieved or done. David says, "Be merciful to me, O God, be merciful to me." Here David recognises his need of God's grace and mercy. That is God's undeserved favour. In the same way, we require God's grace. And as to quote John Stott, that means love that cares and stoops down and rescues. That's God's grace. Secondly, we do not rely on the security of our material possessions, the job we do, and all the other things that make us feel secure. As we've seen in recent weeks, these can be quickly taken away. When we choose to praise God based on who he is, instead of what our circumstances are, we can rejoice. We see the eternal God in whom we can put our trust. As Paul wrote in his letter to the Romans, we know for all those who love God, all things work together for good. So let us this morning and moving forward praise God for who he is and an all-powerful, never-changing, the same yesterday, today and forever. Praise God for his love and grace towards us by sending his son Jesus to die on the cross, so that by faith we can be reconciled to him. Praise God that this life is not the end, but if we put our faith and trust in Jesus, then we will spend eternity with him. May our lives be lived to the glory of God. Thank you for sharing this time with me this morning, and may God bless you.